Hello. Art possesses a unique power to heal trauma, providing a canvas for expression when words fall short. Through creative expression, individuals navigate emotions and find solace and reclaim their narratives. Big Up YuSelf, original kings and queens. Welcome back to the show that is all about you, your survivor story, your journey, your heartbreaks and triumphs, your growth, your resilience, and your empowerment. I am your host, Winsome Alexander, and I am a self-empowerment mentor, certified as one of Texas's most inspiring women. Stick around and you'll learn why. But I have a heart for survivors of trauma. That is my calling. And who among us hasn't had to suffer some sort of trauma, right? So, if all that sounds good to you, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment, right? So we can get picked up on the YouTube algorithm. Now, you may not think that your comments and your likes matter, but they do absolutely matter. They make a difference. That's how, by liking, leaving a comment, sharing, subscribing, that's how you can do your little part to support the work. And I thank you. And guys, I reply to all comments. Try me and see. All right, now let's get on with the show. I have a dynamic personality, a bundle of joy to share with you today in the person of Lisa Marie Flynn. Let's welcome Lisa to the Big Up YuSelf show. Welcome, Lisa. Yes. So I'm going to read your bio, Lisa, and then we're going to get into your story. Can't wait to hear. All right. So Lisa Marie is an energetic and funny single mama of 3 boys. And she treasures family. Her passion is building others up with enthusiasm and encouragement through her endearing music, both sung and played. Living in Ottawa, Canada, she serves her community, providing entertainment as an engaging speaker and live music for church services, weddings, corporate events, and celebrations of life. She is a budding author, a loyal friend, and to her students, she is hashtag Miss Flynn what for the win. Miss Flynn for the win. Now, Lisa, this intro sounds like roses and tulips, but you've been through some stuff, haven't you? You're gonna share your story with us in a minute, but first let's start with your name, right? Who named you? What was the story around your name? Do you live in the energy attached to your name? Tell us what your name means to you.
Well, thank you. First of all, Winsome, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
And to everybody who's here, thank you in advance. And I'm nervous, so I'm playing with my hair. Anyway, thank you. Yeah. You know what? I had to research a couple of things on my name because
Yes.
Lisa Marie is not a name that you find out there.
Wow.
And so I know that Lisa comes from Elizabeth and Marie comes from Mary, and they were cousins in the Bible. Mary ending up being the mother of God, mother of Jesus. But I just thought I would kind of, search it up. And apparently, and odd, I think brilliantly odd that I work in the church and that I am a Christian leader and like to support that, but in a very ecumenical and welcoming way of other people and their beliefs as well. So Lisa apparently means, and I quote, devoted to God.
Yes.
Oath from God. Wow. Yeah. An oath from God. I'm not really sure what that means, and my dad's going to think about that, but
An,
that's okay.
an oath from God. My goodness.
Now that's just the Lisa part.
Yes.
Marie refers to star of the sea, the wished for child. And in a number of language of translations, it also means rebellious.
Dude, does any of that fit you?
Just a little, just a little. But you know what? My parents jointly picked the name. They liked Lisa, but Dad really wanted it with something else, so they chose Marie. And my mom, just before I was a month old, wrote this beautiful poem for my baptism, and in it she says, I'll quote.
Oh, girl.
Oh my golly. In the poem, and she did it all in calligraphy, which is an art form. So not in the cursive, but in the actual calligraphy form.
It's amazing.
And she was speaking so much about how we're all going to bless each other in family. And, Lisa Marie, whose little sticky dandelion hands are going to hold yours, and you're going to give to her, and that kind of thing. But she said that my name means the given one.
Wow.
And to your first point, yeah, I've been given some roses, and I've also been given some manure for those roses, and the rain, and the sunshine, and all of that, and the weeding.
I want to hear all about it. I want to hear all about it, girl.
That's my name, Lisa Marie. Yep, never married to Michael Jackson, Elvis.
I know, because that's what comes to mind when you hear Lisa Marie.
I know, but I'm the one that's still alive.
Oh, look at that. Yay! Yay! Wow. That's pretty interesting, the name, the story around your name, and the amazing correlations you found with it in the Bible. And it seems to fit you in some places, right?
Definitely.
So that's awesome. I love people's name stories.
They are pretty special. They are really special.
Mm-hmm. So you've come a long way from things like 2 difficult divorces, self-employed single mom, poor relationships, 7 concussions. And through it all, music became like your oxygen, you said, and laughter became like your medicine. And you found your voice through honoring him, and hopefully also through honoring yourself. So where do you want to begin? Oh my goodness. Where do you want to begin? What was your childhood like?
Okay. My childhood was great. Honest to goodness. I learned a lot. I felt a lot. My mom was an elementary. Yeah, she still is like an elementary school teacher. She's still alive. Both of my parents are 86.
Yay.
I know, it's a blessing. They've been married over 50 years now. It's just, it's fantastic. And that was a time where we could go outside and play in the backyard of everybody who was in the neighborhood. And, if it started to get dark, that's when we went home. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of beautiful memories, but I'm a visual person. So when I imagine what that neighborhood was like and what those times were like, it's in color, like all the color that's in the background behind you. Like it's all in living color. It's not black and white. It's not dull colors and such. But I was a wild child. There was a child psychologist that told my parents when I was around 18 months, 2 years old, watch out for her. She's a wild one. She's gonna be a wild one. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's interesting. Wow. And you were born in Canada.
Yes.
And that's where you are still.
Yes. Yeah. My mom's side of the family is from the United States. And previous to that, because we all come from some place that used to be home. North America is not anybody's true home except those that were originally here, and so came through the United States via Germany. And my dad's side of the family, actually my grandparents and 2 uncles, were born in Ireland.
Wow.
So we are recent to Canada as far as generations are concerned, but yeah, it's been 100 years ago. They were born in They were born in Ireland.
That's
But yeah,
cool.
Canada's a beautiful spot and certainly multicultural, and
Mhm.
people from all over. I've had that blessing of different students. So yeah, and actually growing up even, there wasn't a question of color.
Mhm.
It was just, this person's from here and this person's from here, and it was just, here's your new friend. Here's your
Here's
new
your new
friend.
friend. Here's your
That's how
new.
we grew up. Everybody was a new friend.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned two difficult divorces. How old were you when you were first married?
Do I really have to tell you that?
No, you don't.
I'm teasing.
Actually, you
I'm
don't.
teasing, sweetie. I'm teasing. Um, yeah. Oh, good golly. Well, it was 97, 1997. So I was in my 20s,
Okay.
and I thought I had a good idea, but I also had a really low self-esteem at that time.
Right.
He was very kind. We met doing music in church, and but I had had a few relationships before that. I'd been engaged a couple of times even, and had
Mhm.
walked away for what I thought were reasons to honor myself.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was in the middle of my master's program in music. Um, yeah, it was different than what I would have thought for myself. I definitely thought, I mean, I had made the right choice, but it was a very short courtship. And yeah, had it been longer, I probably would have learned more about myself. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say that it's about him. He's still a great person, and does come from a loving family that they really do care for each other. My boys love him. The older two boys, he's their dad. Um, so to that end, I think sometimes we listen to potential instead of seeing the proof.
Listen to potential instead of seeing the proof.
So somebody can sell us on a number of things. And it can be, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. Yeah, this is what I've done before. Yeah, this is what I've done before. And so there ends up being, there could be a lot of those, right? And I don't want to call them empty promises per se, because that's not all of what it was. Um, uh, but in that way where there's a lot of potential. It's like, okay, great. This is this kind of person. Great. These are the goals. Like somebody who wants to think further for themselves. But at the same time, I also learned, well, a while, when we turn down the volume and
Mm-hmm.
see somebody's true actions, how do they support those words?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Motivate
take,
momentum. Motivate momentum has joined us. You
oh,
look beautiful. Thank you. Who's that one for? Who's that compliment for? Motivate momentum. Is it for Lisa or for your host?
either one, both of us.
We accept. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Lisa. I
No,
just wanted to welcome the guest.
yeah. But like your name starts with a W, I think of the word wow. And, for a lot of times in different circles since then, I've heard of being a wow woman, being a woman of your word.
Ooh, yes.
We're not women of talk, 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 but not the walk, right? So
Mhm,
when somebody's talking, you can see if that's true with the proof. And the proof comes when we turn down the
mhm,
volume. What are we seeing in action that
mhm,
supports what we're
mhm.
hearing? And it did take me a long time um, to see where that was for me, but also to see where it was in the marriage. So,
So did you opt to dissolve the marriage? Was it your choice or
um, yes, yes.
yeah, it was your choice. Ah,
Yeah. And um, he still has some health issues. I knew that going into the marriage. I did not know how that was going to affect me. And I really felt that I wasn't capable of coping.
um,
And and so I did seek out counseling. I wanted to get stronger. I wanted to get stronger for my marriage. We had the two boys quickly soon after. And that was even after losing my first pregnancy. That anniversary was just this past Thursday.
oh
And so
wow.
yeah, been 26 years. but we have two boys, 23 and 24, and they are
Wow.
wonderful boys, really young men. And I just wanted to be strong for them. But as it
Mhm.
turned out, because of some of the health needs and some of the um, uh, just the circumstances with his health, and that's really all I want to speak to on that. I'm not him, and I don't want to speak for him. Uh,
Yeah.
but it was hard, and it was like I was a single mom anyway. I was taking care of two boys
Mm.
and I was taking care of another person. And
Mhm.
I never sought out to be a doctor or a nurse.
Yeah.
As a friend of mine says, I didn't even play one on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like, and it took a lot of my energy and I didn't have a lot left. So
Yeah.
I left my dreams by the wayside. I left my voice by the wayside. I was still in ministry and music ministry, but it wasn't the same that I had, I guess, hoped that it would have been for me.
Was it a painful decision to you to leave someone while they were sick and kind of needed you?
Um, yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I knew I couldn't do it for him,
Right.
and there were times he couldn't do it for himself, and there were times that it was hard to do anything for the kids. But I had also entered the marriage knowing about his health condition. So it wasn't like in sickness and in health where people come in and they're, you know, they're
Feel
both
well and
really doing well, and one of them there's a car accident, there's an illness or whatever, and yeah, things can happen in those circumstances, but it wasn't like that was the shift. I probably would have had a ton of guilt
yeah.
that
Yeah.
had been the case. It's not part of my story, but I could see how that would play. And I know that some of it was there, but I was doing so many years, like it was a 10 and a half years of marriage. I was probably in counseling for 7 of them.
Mm.
And we had done marriage counseling as well, like just trying to, repair things. Because,
Yeah.
when you get married, like this is a big deal. This is for life. And
Yes.
it was hard to step aside and step away because it wasn't healthy at that point.
But in essence, you chose yourself, and which is
Ab-
always the best choice.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. Cool. Cool. And that's marriage number one.
Yeah.
And then you married again.
Yes.
Did you feel like
Not
that?
right away.
What? All
I
right,
dated
away.
it.
A few years after that, when you kind of got to know yourself a little bit better, how
Yeah.
was that?
Well, that was different again because between the two marriages was the reason for concussion number 5 of the 7, and it's the
Wait a
one I
minute.
didn't
Wait a
I
minute.
didn't really talk about. Yeah,
7 concussions.
yeah.
Okay. So in the second marriage was number 5 of the 7 happened. So therefore,
Oh no, there was actually a relationship in between that was the cause of concussion number 5.
oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Take me back to concussion number 1.
Mm. I was 11 and I slipped on the ice on the schoolyard and I blacked out and I went to the hospital and yeah. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
And
so
you?
some of mine have been slips and falls. Some of them were car accidents. I had a basketball to the back of the head, just supply teaching. Yeah,
Wow.
just happenstance, things that can happen to anybody.
So what happened in the relationship that caused a concussion?
Um, it was about 18-month long relationship. Started professionally in 2008, and he was the guy like where my self-esteem was low coming out of, there's still that depression and hardness even though I chose myself in the divorce from the first marriage.
Yeah.
We don't come out strong. We have to take the time to heal.
Right.
And I found a friend in this gentleman, and I was seen for the first time, and I was
Yes.
heard for the first
Yes.
time. And so it was the time and attention. It was listening to the music. It was, listening to my doubts and my fears and my dreams. And I felt held as a person. I had a place of
Yes.
safety, a place of love.
All
And
that is irresistible.
right? Like starting
Yeah.
to check off the boxes. Was gainfully employed. I mean, some of the things we don't always talk about and we really should.
Right.
And he had a great big personality, and he kind of took me along for the ride. So instead of being having to be the strong one, I felt like I was an equal
Oh,
and
yes.
not having to pull everybody with me and hold
Mhm,
on to everybody. So it was a
mhm.
soft place to land, and after a while these things started to slip. And that encouragement and that confidence in the relationship, um there started to be some curiosities and some caution signs, but I didn't know that's what they were. I started to hear my voice through him, that maybe I wasn't all put together. Maybe I wasn't as strong as I thought. Maybe I was more damaged from the marriage than I thought, which is a form of gaslighting.
Yeah,
And those things, you know, started showing up. Nothing physical. It was emotional. It was psychological for sure. Lots of those games, the narcissistic games, and um, and I finally got strong enough in 2010 to break up with him.
yeah.
But we had one more work thing to do together,
Mhm.
and he wanted to meet. I didn't think that was a great idea, and I was headed out to a movie by myself. I wanted to see Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side. She was
Yeah,
up for
yeah.
Oscars. The movie was up for Oscars. I love that actress, and we're around a similar age and
Mhm.
similar personality type as I kind of saw her. And he decided he wanted to join me. I said, "It's up to you." Um, Come to find out that hours later, he spiked a drink, and I did not know. So I
Wow.
could not drive myself home. And so now I'm with this person that I've been in relationship with, but I'd never lived with. We didn't have kids together. And so for me, it was standing up for myself, saying, you know what, I need time on my own. Um, but here I am, not cognitive enough to know that I'm trapped in this moment and with this person. And some of the things that I feared could have happened did not. However, as he was leaving my house at somewhere 3:30 in the morning, um, I kind of came to clearer mind, was ready to lock the door as he left. And I don't know if it was the way I looked, what I said, um, but that's when he attacked me. And he, yep, was angry. He was a big guy, um,
Yeah,
big mitts for hands.
yeah.
So I was tossed around a bit. My head hit the floor. Later on, it hit a wall. And um, the one moment I remember the most was that in the midst of it being a split second moment of choice, and sometimes there isn't that choice, like the light flick switches, the anger goes on, whatever the case may be. But he had trapped me in the bathroom and looked at me as I'm trying to beg him to let me be. And he takes off his watch and says, well, you know what? Damage is done now. I might as well finish it off. The police later, when I finally was able to get to a phone a few hours later, said that I did have red marks on my throat. And it was very hard to get that emotional voice back. Um, and through the injuries and such. But I had a number of people that loved on me. Um, but it took a bit, and I thought I was smarter than that. I thought I really had dodged the bullet when I broke up with him. I
Yeah,
didn't plan on having him over. I I backed away from the event. I came right out of that business that we still had to do.
yeah.
Uh, but it was a whirlwind, and I felt crazy. And with some of the injuries, I went to my parents, stayed with them for a couple of days, and oh my gosh, being in my, like, that's 2010, almost 15 years ago, and my dad had to cut my meat for me because I couldn't
Oh,
use an arm.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
So Lisa, let me ask you this. Okay, when you were in the bathroom trapped with him, he tried to strangle you, right?
He did.
He tried to strangle you, and you blacked out.
No,
Because
not at not
it's
at that time, but I had been a competitive swimmer, and I learned how the life-saving things were if somebody had grabbed you when you're in the water trying to rescue somebody as a lifeguard or such. And I let myself fall into the bathtub
got
to
you.
lose his grip. So I would
Yeah.
say that vantage point, and that's my head had already been hit a few times. But I did fall in, and the spout got moved a bit, the soap dish got moved a bit. Um,
Wow.
but that's how I saved myself. And then my second thought were my boys. And
Yes.
that's when I begged him. I said, please don't, please don't. I have boys. I have
Yes.
boys, and I just and I decided also in that moment that I was just going to agree with everything he said. For all the
Mhm.
things he accused me about before, everything that he was spewing during the number of hours of how angry he was at me and so on. And and I said, "You're right. I've got to go back for counseling. I've got to do this. I'm not the best mother in the world, but I have two boys, and just please let me have my two boys." And he had a son.
Yeah.
So I think there was something. Somehow God worked in that moment.
Yes.
But
Wow. I'm glad you were able to come out of that. So that ordeal lasted for hours and hours. And then you were finally able to make it to the police. They picked him up,
they
right?
came to my house and almost broke my door down. I called 911, and then I had to hide the phone in the couch after saying very quickly where I was, because I at least knew how to do that. I'm at this address. Please come. I need help. Put the phone away. He heard a click on the phone. He realized what happened. The next thing is there's a bang on the door, and he knew he was caught.
Wow. So you were brave. That took a lot of courage for you to take the phone and call while he was still there.
He finally went to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, Lisa. Oh my God, that's what I'm talking about, man. The survivor in you knew to call the phone. And so, oh my gosh, lucky that the police came quickly because if they hadn't, you are a survivor. And you were so brave to do what you had to do to save yourself. Thinking about yourself and your children saved you. My God. And of course, God was with you. Okay. So that must have been a lot to overcome. And oh, so you ended up with injuries. You said the police they saw the marks on your neck and then you couldn't use your arm because you were that hurt. Now, how long did he go to jail for? Wow.
It took the rest of the year to try to get him to actually hold the court date, whatever lawyer he had.
Are you
Um,
serious?
he was using emails against me. He, yeah, was moving. Yeah, he was very manipulative, very much his narrative. And when we finally had a court date, um, I think it was around the 10th of December that year, where he was going to show up. I was going to have a chance to do a victim impact statement of what that had done to me financially,
Yeah.
for my own person. There were jobs that I had to hand to other people as a musician. I couldn't play piano as well as I had before because of my arm, my neck, and my shoulders. I had bruises. I had to pay out of pocket for physiotherapy, and for some specialized counseling and such. There was no medication involved at the time, although there probably should have been
Yeah.
because we didn't realize the extent. We saw it as PTSD,
Yeah.
not the extent of a concussion that gave me the light sensitivity and sound sensitivity, and even just the emotional and guilt part.
Yeah.
How do I trust a person again, let
Yeah.
alone a man? How do I have the marriage my parents have had? How do I give my kids that joyful, colorful childhood,
Yes.
when they're already dealing with a divorce, even though they saw that their dad very frequently and all of that, And that impact statement, I never had a chance to share. And in person, he got a hold of it, was about to go in and say, "We're done. We're going to take another continuance." And that judge didn't allow him. But through some fancy talking, there was no jail time except for the 24 hours after it happened. And
That's
he got slapped with
crazy.
a $500 fine,
My God.
reduced to $200.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All because it was
Lisa,
his
this
first.
is so
Yeah.
heartbreaking that these men can get away with these kinds of things. I mean, the man almost killed you, and all he got was $200 in a fine, no jail time. That's crazy.
It's the first offense that he had been caught for,
Oh
I
my
guess.
God. That
Yeah.
he had been caught for. And I'm willing to bet that there were more before that and more since that. Motivate Momentum says you are a strong woman, Lisa. Mm-mm-mm. My goodness. Wow. God bless you. Um, and then okay, so that was not the second marriage. The second marriage came after that.
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes. He's a psychotherapist, so he had psychology as a background. And he understood my condition was. I was kind of honest about it. Now, I didn't really realize at the time how much mental health I was either ignoring or um, because life wasn't back to full force, if you will. Like it took a lot of time to build back up again, and to be out there and to deal with everything. So I didn't push myself too hard, but I everything I did was so I could be better for my boys, and
Yeah.
that's what it mattered to me. So being self-employed, never having that full-time job, I didn't have to necessarily go back half time into full time. And I could bide a bit more. And if I had to take a nap during the day, that kind of thing, I had some flexibility for that. Not a ton, but I had some. And so when we met, it was actually, I couldn't find a date in the city of Ottawa to save my life. It was
Wow.
on, I didn't want to go on some of the dating sites that everybody seems to go on and get some crazies from that.
Mhm.
I chose a couple of uh, more Christian based, or at least you had to pay in. So there was a different kind of quality of person who might join. And I used it first to find all the red flags.
Yeah.
That was an education for me. I didn't really do it to get a date, but I still laughed that I still couldn't meet anybody in Ottawa. They were
Hmm.
3 hours away, 4 hours away. I'm about an hour and a half from the upper upstate New York border with that part of Ontario for where I live. So some guys were in the States.
Yeah.
And so I came across this guy that seemed pretty safe because it was like a day drive away in Indiana. Yeah,
Indiana.
yeah, yeah, and so we just started talking, and it felt great because he was that far away. I felt
Yeah.
safe. I
Yeah.
felt, you
Yeah.
know, he wasn't going to come to my door. He wasn't going to do anything where I wouldn't feel secure. I could hang up the phone when I wanted to. We started doing Skype and such, but he did drive up a few weeks later to meet me. Was very, very responsible. Very much. Um, from an in-person standpoint, checked off all the boxes again. But
Uh-huh.
also, he was handsome, he was smart, he had 2 degrees, he was an athlete. He had come on some hard times in his childhood and really had, seemed to have come through it. He was a recent convert in Christianity as well, within the few years, and we were on the same page. We worshiped in the same style of church,
Right.
and our prayer styles were different. I'm a bit more extroverted, and he was a bit more, contemplative and or contemplative, and a bit more on that quiet side of things.
Yeah.
And so everything I was praying for, because I went back and the list that I uh,
Wow.
had a list of what I wanted in my future husband
He
even
checked the
before I met
boxes.
the first one. And so I would edit it every time I saw a better relationship, every time I saw better things. And I was trying to speak those positive things into my life instead of
Yeah.
the things I didn't want. And he checked off
Wow.
boxes and boxes and boxes. Like, I think he just didn't have one, which was also being a musician. But that was a compromise. I was okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a small thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't turn out so great.
No, concussion number 6 came in a car accident in 2013.
Wow.
Um, my body took the brunt of the accident. The same spot of my head was hit, and that had been when I was with I call him the criminal, the criminal, because he still got charged. He still has a record. Um, and I got to a point where it was pretty desperate. I needed to be medicated, or I was going to take my own life or take somebody else's. Like
Oh,
I was like dealing Jekyll and Hyde. I did not know where that personality switch was on the wall. And I became the person when that got triggered that I was watching the movie from the view of the person who was doing whatever and yelling and screaming and having a come apart and pulling out a knife and crazy stuff.
wow.
So I did go for help. There are a few times I should have gone to the hospital directly.
Yeah.
Um, but I had ended up with a very great support team. I did get medicated. I take a cocktail morning, noon, and night, honey.
Still.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Still.
I
Yeah.
did for the rest of my life. I have brain injury. I have multiple brain injuries.
Oh my
And for me
goodness.
to function, and I actually function better as me now than I ever
Yeah. Yeah. And see, yeah, you have to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, don't you?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if
for
that
sure.
includes taking medicine, then that's what it's for, right?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. My gosh, Lisa. Wow. There is a lot behind that pretty smile, huh? Oh my God, you paid dearly for that pretty smile. My goodness. Do you share your story readily or like talking about this, is this hard for you?
um, it's not. It just makes me sad. It makes me sad because I've been in the support groups with women that didn't have an option to
Yeah.
walk away. They lived with, were married to, had children with these predators, these people that would continue to hunt and hurt. They would continue to badger and batter continually. Um, I, although it does affect me, it just makes me sad that I had to go through that to be here today. Uh,
Yes.
but to all my sisters that have ever gone through it, my story makes me pray in that moment of sadness for them.
Yes.
And so I've been
Yes.
involved with some of the resource centers, fundraisers for some shelters in Canada, and I would like to do more with that to support
Mhm.
those people
Mhm.
that are experiencing the need to escape.
Mhm.
And thankfully, I was just never in a position, but I did have to escape everything emotionally. And
Yeah.
it has taken years. COVID was equal parts a blessing as it was a curse for some
Right.
people or a downfall. But I
Right.
finally was able to stop. My head finally had a chance to heal. My heart had a chance to heal because COVID hit when my second marriage was breaking up because my experiences from the concussion before being medicated affected my youngest son's father, who turned to
Mm.
alcohol as his coping mechanism
Wow.
and is a full-blown alcoholic today, although I pray for him and I pray that he gets to that place where my youngest son can have a beautiful relationship with his dad like my older two have with their dad.
Wow.
And there was a lot with that, and it was very toxic, it was very unhealthy. um, but I was stopped in the road when that Jeep hit me. And what do you do? What do you do? But because I had already had the brain injuries from before, it was a re-injury. So
My
someone else might have been
goodness.
able to recover in a month. Um, I will forever have to use earplugs or sunglasses. I do music, and there's times I have to rest for a couple days after
Wow.
because there's too much happening in my head. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm cute.
That you are. That you are. And I'm proud of you. And so, with all of that, you have been able to use music to kind of help you. Um, by the way, guys, if you're watching, please, I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And please leave a thumbs up to support Lisa in her healing journey. She is a brave, brave woman, brave to go through all of what she's gone through, and even braver to come and share her story with us. So leave a comment for her and leave a thumbs up. And we thank you for hanging in there with us today on the show. Now, yeah. So how did you get involved with music with all of this?
Oh, music was always there. My parents are singers. My mom
Oh,
was my first piano teacher when I was 5 years old. I could probably sing in the uterus before coming out. Like honestly, um,
wow.
so music was always there. I did it all through high school. I have 2 degrees in music. Um, but I'll be honest with you, although it was my oxygen, it got sucked out of me and it became work because I desperately wanted to cry every time there was music, and I
Yes.
had to put the walls up just to keep me sane. Um, and when some of those walls were finally able to come down during COVID, I took a risk and I did some recordings and I put it on a little YouTube channel. And I was just
Nice.
like, I don't know if I'm ever going to tell anybody I did this.
Why not? What's the name of the channel?
It's actually just my name. So I know you're calling me Lisa, and I appreciate that. I actually do go by Lisa Marie, both
Lisa
names together.
Marie. Lisa
Yeah,
Marie.
yeah.
Okay.
And so it's Lisa hyphen Marie Flynn. Just my name. That's my
Okay, you
YouTube channel.
guys, check out her little songs on Lisa Marie hyphen Lisa
Yeah,
hyphen Marie.
Marie Flynn. Yeah.
Yes, on YouTube. Check her out. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And the funny thing was when I started supply teaching during COVID, because the churches shut down, so I wasn't singing anyway. There were no more funerals or weddings until maybe 2021. And even then, we had the rule where you can only have 10 people. So in some cases, I was the 10th person. And
Mm,
so that was a little different to deal with as well. But I chose to sing. I chose to do that, but I also had taken some courses along the way that were uplifting and inspiring. They were online. Some of these beautiful people like Lisa Nichols and Sean Smith were doing these, free, but in the sense of let's just come together and talk. Like this is
yeah,
a big deal in the world. How can we support each other? And it was
right.
from there that I found that, oh, this is how I can uplift myself. This is how I can up level myself to the next place.
Oh, I
And
love
and
this.
when money's not coming in, you don't have the chance to invest in ourselves the same way.
Right.
And I made a choice then to see what I could learn from those experiences, which were great. And that even led to a point where just this past fall is really the first time that I've chosen to tell the story, that I've chosen to speak about coming through what I did. And I am the kind of person that yeah, I can point out somebody's faults, probably laundry lists full, as women do in relationships, especially when they don't fulfill anything positive, or whether it's for the whole time or just part of the time. But in the reality, I do believe everybody has a piece of goodness in them and that
Mm-hmm.
there is still something to love. And for whatever reasons, with those people that hurt me, there was something that they did see in me that was going to help them get that love, but that
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be all of that to them because it wasn't handled
Mm-hmm.
properly. It wasn't respected well. It wasn't honored and cherished and protected and kept truly safe. And it
Mm.
wasn't received
Whoa.
the same way. So when I did that YouTube channel, that was really for me. I just did some covers of songs that I've done at weddings. I showed off both parts of my range. I am classically trained, although I never did sing opera professionally. I do have a classic sound, but I can do the Bon Jovis along with the Ave Marias. I can do the folk music. I can do a bit
Give
of
us a
jazz.
line, Lisa. Give us a little line. Give us a line.
Oh golly.
Give us the line.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.
Oh, that was beautiful. That just ministered to my soul. That was beautiful, Lisa. Oh my goodness. Girl, you brought tears to my eyes. I can imagine how many people you soothe and heal when you sing. Don't ever stop singing. Oh my goodness. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. To be able to produce something so beautiful after all you have come through, it's just amazing. It's amazing. Oh,
Well, I did have some wonderful people that even when I couldn't sing, they said be creative. And
yes.
actually, I had oh my God, she's a sweetheart. I just spoke to her the other day, Michelle Moore, life coach, fabulous friend. And she's like, you know what? I know you can't sing out there and you probably don't want to sing in here. Color, write in a journal. And so I started writing a book that I
Yeah.
do plan on finishing this spring.
Yeah.
My son Joseph, who's now 10, he and I wrote a book during COVID about
Yes.
colors of the tongue and all the
Colors of the tongue.
oh my God, you have no idea. It is quite cute, and I would be honored to share another time about that book once it's completed.
Absolutely.
We just need the illustrations now, but I'll give you a little something that we realized in this story. Everybody, no matter what their skin color, no matter what their identity, no matter what their religion, all have a pink tongue. All of us have a pink tongue.
Wow.
Yep. So we talk about that and about using our words wisely and to choose kindness.
Oh my goodness.
That's the message. Yeah.
Life and death and the power
Yeah.
of the tongue. Oh my
But it's
goodness.
that creativity, like, for some people that need to move and dance or do yoga or whatever, like that physical expression, when we're writing or coloring, we are doing something tactile. I sing, I play piano at the same time. That's a lot more tactile. And those artistic means of, even if you're squishing paper because you're so frustrated and you don't like what you just wrote, or the clay, or whatever medium of art of any kind, playing an instrument that's not as big as this one, but is more portable. I've played guitar. Anything that I think works, it becomes an extension as a part of our body. I
Yes.
think allows us to find what my priest yesterday called the sixth sense. So we
Mm-hmm.
have touch, sight, smell, taste. What's the last one? Oh my God.
Hearing, seeing.
Thank you. Hearing. I do this. So this is part of the concussion. And then I'll talk about that humor part after, thanks to the concussion, but or concussions. And he said, so he's like, there is a sixth sense. It's our spiritual sense. He says,
Mm.
now we in church know what that means for us, but for other
Mhm.
people, it's their intuition. It's
Mhm.
their gut feeling.
Mhm.
Dang it in my gut. It is that extra sense that we all have when something is wrong, or when we have that immense peace over us that
Yeah.
something is right. So
Yes.
when we discern things, should I take this job? Should I apply for that one? Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this the person? Is that the person? Where do it's if there's peace, then we can feel good about it. And we have that angst, that intuition, that gut feeling that tells us something's not quite right. And
Mhm.
so that's a piece of it too. But when we have that only really gets expressed in a full body way or in an extension of ourself, which the arts do.
Beautifully
They
said.
really do it. And even
Beautifully
music,
said.
people with, I'm going to get this wrong, dementia and Alzheimer's, the part of the brain that does not get erased until almost the very end is the music center. They
Mm.
remember the songs they grew up with. And gosh darn it, they'll remember all those lyrics until maybe they don't quite remember all the lyrics, but they'll remember the tune and they'll brighten up because they know it and they recognize it. And it's huge. It's
Mm.
huge that that music center of the brain doesn't get affected through other things. It's
Mm.
amazing. It really, really is. And, music isn't a universal language. Artwork is the cavemen on the walls, artifacts and tools and whatever we use to build life around us.
Yes, yes. It's all healing. Wow, if we let it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't think a lot of people, that's why they do art classes in healing groups, right?
Yep.
But I don't think a lot of us embrace arts as much in our healing because we don't know the value of it, right?
And
And
I
then
think,
some of us do, but
yes.
we're not making the connection that is actually helping. Yeah.
Well, and if I may, um, I think some of us, because of how it's been represented out there, or maybe how we've been raised, we think we have to be good at something right away. And
Hmm.
so I don't draw well, but I'll draw stick figures from here to kingdom come, and I'll draw little daisies and happy faces with flowers, and that's what I do. I
Yes.
I, I can't draw a chin, I can't, but the expression is not about perfection. It is about being purposeful with it. When children have gone through something or they've seen something, it's like, here, draw me a picture, and maybe the picture they draw
Mm-hmm.
talks about whatever they've seen or experienced that maybe they can't speak to.
Right.
We need to treat ourselves like a 5-year-old and not judge how great this picture should be, how great my voice should sound, how properly I'm playing the violin or any other instrument, and how we dance,
Mm.
how we don't. And we need to learn this. We don't come out of our mamas knowing how to walk and talk.
Right.
So how are we going to learn a new language like music or art and all the mediums within visual art or even dance? There's so many things to that we just don't know until we learn it. But it's a way of expressing. So, dance like nobody's watching is what that phrase has been.
Yeah.
Sing like nobody's listening. In the Bible, it doesn't say what an angel sounds like. It does say make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Psalm 95 has it in there twice.
Wow. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
No, and
And
it's okay. It's okay. Some of us have other gifts. I've
yes.
been blessed with this gift, but don't ask me to look at blood. You know,
Right. Right.
don't
Oh
ask
my
me
goodness.
to build you a barn. I mean, I could learn. I could learn all those things. I don't have a desire nor an affinity for it. So someone else is going to be better at it than me. I'm okay with that. But it
Mm-hmm.
took me a long time because I did feel a lot of things like my voice, like playing, like doing music at a funeral, at a wedding, at church. I would judge myself,
Yeah.
and until I just had to stop and just accept it. And for whatever it was, it was. And it's actually gotten better.
I'm so glad you did. I am so glad you did because it is a blessing. It
Yeah.
is a blessing. So, what project are you working on now, and how can we support you at this stage in your journey?
Thank you. Thank you. I start comedy lessons February 19.
Tell us a joke.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I've been able to laugh at myself the last
Yes.
2 years because I was so afraid before. My brain was so affected. I would lose words. I would say
Yes.
right consonant and with the wrong word. The kids started laughing at school. Like I had my first full-time job ever last year. And out of it, I got 150 some followers on my YouTube channel because they're like, Miss Win for the win. Let's do this.
It's so cool.
Yeah, but I can sound drunk at 9:55 in the morning without having had coffee.
Wow.
Because depending on what's happening, what, the wipers are going in the car and stuff, I can't process, and I lose my language. And so the kids will just laugh at me because I'll say something funny, or what's better for adults is after 7 o'clock at night, I have no filter.
That is so funny.
My twin sister comes out and talks for me, and let me tell you, she thinks it, she says it.
OMG.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the next projects I'm going to have showing up, some of it's going to be on the YouTube channel. I do have some original music. I was in the recording studio a couple weeks ago at one of the high schools. These high schools are so great. They actually are teaching these kids how to go and film in Hollywood and be these graphic designers for animation, and how to be journalists and deal with all the media that's out there. It's amazing. And for some of the teachers I had this conversation, they're teaching them what's positive about AI and what is not,
Mm-hmm.
and how to be careful, because they need to know this is the world they are growing up in now.
Mm-hmm.
And but I had a chance to be in the studio and recording a piece of music that I wrote for the poem In Flanders Fields for Remembrance Day. And I wrote it 20 years ago because my teacher at one point said, and he wrote one. He wrote one that gets sung in Canada for the last, I don't know, 40 years.
Wow.
And he said somebody else needed to write a new one. So I did, but again, I kept it a secret. So I'm using my voice not to sing per se, but to say I've created something, I'm going to put it out there. And I've got some books lining up, and I'm going to put it out there, and coming on these wonderful moments with you and
Yes.
others, these powering women. I'd love to support that and to grow the community. We are a global community, and why not continue to grow with men and women and people of all fantasticness, and that we can just celebrate each other in all of our, as you call it, big up yourselves.
Girl, big up yourself. Look. Hats off to you. Oh my God. Wait.
Cheers.
Hats off to you, girl. Cheers.
Going this way. No, I'm going this way. Here we go. Cheers. And can I just say, Canadian lemonade is different than American lemonade.
Please tell.
Ours comes with sugar. Don't put it in till after. So we take a sip of American lemonade, and we're like, did you leave in the lemon?
Girl, wow, that looks so good in a nice wine glass. Yes, yes, nice. Oh my gosh, it was such a pleasure to have you. Oh my God, don't forget to subscribe, you guys, and like this video.
Please
leave a thumbs up and leave a comment of support for Lisa. Oh my God. And Lisa, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Thank you. You are such a bright, shining light in the dimness of all that's going on. My God, you have come out of some dark places, some tight spots, and look at you shining bright. You are the epitome of a survivor. And I want to thank you for gracing the Big Up Yourself space this afternoon and sharing with our audience. And surely your story is inspiring someone. Thank you for the courage it takes to share like you have done today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And you, audience, I want to thank you for hanging out with us this evening. And we will see you next episode of the Big Up Yourself show. And until then, I want you to continue to, I forgot to ask you, what one thing did you want to big up yourself for? Let's not forget to do that. What are you proud of?
Let me put my other person on here. No. I am so proud of myself that I've really been able to come back to as much music as I have, even in the last 3 months, that I've been able to do it strongly, honoring myself and my health and some of my limitations, but also celebrating other people, showing up to support other people, and just leaving everybody feeling better than they did. And so in my renewal, that I'm sharing that with other people, and even just the encouragement of some. So just to give you a small example, between the middle of October and the end of December, about 14, 15 funerals that I sang at to support people. Some of them were young, some people were old that had passed, but that's that comfort that you were mentioning. Christmas weekend alone were 8 performances. Christmas weekend, I lived to tell the tale, and I felt great about it. I felt that I came back, and just bigger and better and stronger and sillier, and I'm just excited for all that's going to come. So that's my little pat on my back.
Good for you, girl.
Thank you.
Good for you. Yeah, I want to big you up too for choosing life, to choosing to survive, for choosing to carry on despite everything that you've been through. Good for you for doing that.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Well, continue to big up yourselves. And until next time, may there be ease within your being and may you be free.
Amen.
Hang in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.